Guys, get ready to learn how to turn your story into a brand that the media and your audience can't ignore. Hey, Hannah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And yeah, thank you for being so warm and welcoming. I look forward to having a meaningful connection or a conversation about storytelling and purpose-driven branding with you.
This is awesome, and I'm happy to connect with you. From our initial conversation, you said you are calling all the way from Osaka, Japan. So, how is the weather over there? Hope everything is going well with you.
Oh, oh yeah, absolutely. So I actually traveled from Vancouver, and I must say the weather is much nicer over here at this time of year compared to Vancouver.
So, can you tell us your journey from sales to PR and how that has evolved over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the years, as you mentioned, I started out from working in sales, and then that gradually evolved into understanding how to market and consulting for marketing for companies. And then naturally, I evolved into public relations. And the common theme is every brand has a story, but not every brand tells it in a way that the world can hear. And when you combine high quality creative production, video design, content with a clear narrative and strategic public relations, you get something powerful. That's visibility and that resonates with others and that builds credibility that lasts. So it all ties in together. And I found that although sales, marketing, and PR are different categories, they all work hand in hand if done correctly and with purpose behind it. So, yeah, I found out the hard way that, making a connection requires truth and ethics behind it. So that's what I strive to do is help businesses, brands, coaches, consultants identify that and communicate that the right way to build a strong, lasting relationship in the market.
Well, that is good. So you said every brand they have a story, but they may not be telling their stories in the right way. So what are they missing?
Yeah, oftentimes it's just how the market changes, so consistency is what needs to be kept in mind when we are telling the story, as well as adapting and having a proper feedback mechanism with our audience. So making sure that, every message that we put out aligns in that stage that we're in as a business or a brand, and it aligns with your audience as they develop and follow through with you throughout the years, right? So some I'm not sure if you've experienced this yourself, but maybe one year you're running ads, you're running a marketing campaign, and it does really well for that year. However, come the next year or even the next season, you might find that it's costing more. There's now a disconnect, and you're wondering, why am I spending more for ads this year compared to last year? What has changed? And that is where we want to bridge the gap and make sure that our message is up to date and everything is consistent.
I like that. So now I want you to tell my listeners who are mostly working professionals how they can craft a story that is media worthy and that is authentic. What do they need to know in order to do that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. And I always like to break it down to something as simple as putting the end user first or the audience first, or even if you're approaching a media outlet or a journalist, putting them first before yourself and then working backwards. So what kind of value are you seeking to provide for them first up front before you tie it back to you, right? And that all boils down to clear understanding of what their needs are. For example, what are the challenges or what are the things that are common that is making your audience seek this type of information? And then from there, you want to identify what the gaps are and then build your story from there, positioning yourself or framing yourself in the right way that helps them reach their end goal, whatever the solution is that they're seeking for. Um, at the end of the day, we want to make everybody's lives easier. So what kind of value do you want to provide first and then work backwards from there? And then that is right there. Now you're building a reputation of wanting to provide rather than take, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I hear you clearly. It's all about the audience. It's all about our target customers to brands. And I'll say we live in a very noisy world because if you think about online presence, online marketing, there are many, many people out there. So now, how can somebody, maybe a professional out there, how can they stand out in this noisy environment? What do they need to do specifically that will make them be the go-to person that will make them create that reputation that you rightly talk about?
Yeah, I like that you bring that up, and I totally agree with you. There's just so much noise nowadays. There's a new brand, new consultant, new course popping up here and there. If you click on one ad, you're targeted with 10 more, like how do you stand out from the noise? And it all boils down to just being authentic. So speaking your truth, if you are somebody that's up and coming and you have a proven track record, you have a good reputation, you want to display that in a way that is not clickbaity. You want to share your story and document it from the start, right? And then from there, people will actually gravitate to those who are authentic. And nowadays, you can easily post a video anywhere. Um, and who knows who will see it. But as you keep doing it, you're developing online image, right? And if you're not authentic, if you're not coming from a place of truth, uh, time is the ultimate equalizer. It will either review you or expose you or confirm who you are. So that's that's the best way I could put it. It's just not being scared to put yourself out, but also come from a place of authenticity and truth.
Okay, so now in terms of the best, maybe I shouldn't say the best, in terms of the platform to use, I know there are numerous platforms out there, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. Which one do you recommend? Do you tell people to use all, or is there specific ones that you'll say, oh, why not start with this? Maybe when you are when you are becoming more known, maybe you gravitate to others. How does it work with you, Hannah?
Yeah, that's a unique situation. It's case by case scenario because it depends on the person, right? For example, if it's a brand that is doing well generating leads on leveraging meta ads, then I would stick to building a foundation on Google and I mean not Google, Instagram and Facebook first because you are driving traffic through those ads, right? However, later on, you can always, I do recommend branching out to all the platforms because now you're building searchability through all these platforms. And you can leverage that to create a Google Knowledge Panel. Once these search engines have an idea of who you are, the more content you put out, the more features that you have. Now you can create a knowledge panel that confirms who you are and what you do. But first, start out with what is working best, and then once you have a system that is working, now you can replicate it on different platforms.
Okay, so you've helped your clients to land features in uh, popular media. So how does that process work?
Yeah, okay. There's quite a bit of a process. It depends on the person's presence. A lot of people, they aspire to be featured on Forbes or Success, and those are high tier placements, right? So it depends on what their current, I would say, visibility is. Like, what's the best way for the audience or journalists to find out about this person? If there isn't that many, and you'd be surprised. I've worked with brilliant minds who've never been featured anywhere before, don't even have social media, and we got to build some sort of foundation for them first in order to pitch and get them secured in these type of higher tier placements, right? So it depends on where they're at with that, their presence first, and then from there we got to build and make sure that, all their online profiles are consistent. And it confirms like, okay, this person is legit, and, and then build a case and then get them possibly into a fewer lower tier, mid tier features first, leverage that, and then get them into the higher tier placements. So, yeah, to answer your question, depends on where they're at. Most of the time, we got to do some building first, but that's where we come in.
So why is it important for people to tell their stories? Because some may not know, and I think whether we know it or not, we are telling some stories. The question is, are we telling the right story? So can you talk more in terms of why you think it's important for people to be intentional in terms of how they and what they are telling about themselves?
Yeah, so many times brands think scaling starts with more ads or more posts, but true scale begins with alignment. If your message, your media, your internal culture aren't aligned, you'll scale noise, not value. So I help leaders build a foundation with message, what they say, with intention behind strategizing their post or how they show up, and even the mindset of how they want to lead. And then we layer in creative production on top. But without a foundation, without, telling the story and making sure that everything aligns, uh, visuals might look good, but they won't build trust. So that's the importance of telling the story and making sure that everything's aligned, is that you developing a relationship continuously with your target audience, right? And they need to have a feeling of trust and understanding because at the end of the day, they want to work with you, but they want to make sure that they're working with the right person.
Now, I want to hear some, maybe one of your success stories in terms of maybe an example of a client that you have worked with in the past where their PR was transformed as a result of their stories that you helped them to craft.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of my favorite questions because I just have so many dear clients that I still keep in contact with today, and just seeing them flourish after a few really solid placements is it just brings joy to me, right? And this is why I do what I do. One client that always sticks out is this lady in fashion. She designs designer glasses, sunglasses, and her dream was to be in Forbes. We developed a 6 months game plan to help her get into Forbes.
Okay.
And once we secured that, things started to open up. It lined up with her next fashion show in Thailand. And on top of that, her fashion show in New York. And then fast forward to today, she's been on magazines, Forbes London, even Forbes Australia, and also just seeing yourself on there. It's just a huge accomplishment, and it's like a confirmation that you are on the right track and people are getting traction of you. So it developed into her creating her own community in fashion. And she even she's starting her own podcast this year. So I'm really excited for her. She's still, riding that momentum.
No, that's good. That's good. I like that. So, uh, the Career Evangelist podcast is more, I focus here on working professionals, and I know that branding is important for professionals as well. So I want to hear from you. What advice would you give professionals who want to position themselves as thought leaders in their organizations? What should they be doing?
Yeah, um, that is a solid question to ask, especially if your viewers feel like they have something or they're on the track to being a leader. Is first you gotta overcome your own inner thoughts, your own fears, even. A lot of the times I meet with amazing thought leaders who have been working behind the scenes for years and they have this amazing track record. However, they haven't, they're afraid to put themselves out there because they're afraid of being seen the wrong way, right? As a flashy person, I want to be in Forbes, but I don't want to be known as the Lamborghini guy kind of thing, like, you know what I mean? So it's just staying grounded and understanding why you're doing it in the first place because the people that you're helping in your organizations, your workplace, as well as your clients, they want to see you succeed. And seeing you put yourself out there and telling your story confirms that they are rooting for the right person. So I would say that's the biggest thing is just overcoming any of uh, those thoughts.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. So, Hannah, what's one career decision that significantly shaped your professional journey that you want to share
Uh,
with?
you know, I gotta give all the glory to God. I would say he's the biggest, yeah, life changer. If you seek first the kingdom of God, like you, he'll humble you every day. He'll guide you with knowledge and wisdom. And to be honest, on these calls, it just flows through me. Like I don't know how else to explain it. I just got to give all the glory to him. So that's the biggest one.
Okay, I like that. So, no, I completely resonate with that idea. Now, there's a client, a potential client out there. They are looking for opportunity to get into one of these big media outlets to become featured for what they do. Um, and they approach you, Hannah PR. Can you explain like the timeline, the onboarding process? How does that work with you, Hannah?
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody were interested to get featured, I would say the timeline is anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks to gather all the information, kind of build a strategy and understand which placements to prioritize first in order to secure the the next placements throughout the year. Um, but the onboarding process is super simple. Like if anybody works with us, I position myself as your internal PR team and I create a core group communication channel between myself and my leaders in my company to one, keep our clients updated or yeah, whoever we work with. We want to keep a clear communication channel so that we can set expectations because sometimes it can take longer, especially for those higher tier placements. So that's the process. And we do all the writing, all the pitching for the client, as well as we outline any expenses. It's all presented at the beginning so that there's no surprises. But
Okay.
yeah, that's what you can expect working with Level Up with Anna.
Level up with Hannah. So I like that. So where can my listeners, where can they find you? Maybe your website, your social media account, so that they can connect with you and continue to learn from you.
Absolutely. So On all social media, uh, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook is Level Up with Anna, and it's levelupwithanna.com. So super easy.
That's easy. So, finally, to wrap this episode, Hannah, what's one thing that you want to leave with my listener in terms of PR that you want them to know, and how, maybe specifically, how they should become more intentional about their online reputation, their brand, and so on?
Absolutely. So, in the world of noise and people making claims, I want to demystify the biggest myth. It is that any press is good press. Um, Not all visibility builds credibility. If the message is not aligned with your mission, it can dilute your brand. So, PR done right is less about quantity of mentions, it's more about the quality of the meaning behind it. So, making sure everything's aligned and you're acting out of communicating in an ethical way, and truth behind everything, you're going to go a long way.
So good. And we have come to the end of this episode. And it's been awesome having this conversation with you. I've learned a lot from you, and I know my listeners, they'll benefit from this episode as well. Thank you for coming on the Career Evangelist podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure having this amazing conversation about branding and meaningful, purposeful visibility.
Awesome.